Steel and Stormbright, The Curse of the Star Wraiths, an exciting sword and sorcery adventure about two brothers trying to make their way in a harsh world. Link in the description. Greetings, salutations, and other big words. My name's Ethan, my handle is Wrangler. Welcome to Frequency Studios, and we're fixing to dig into Immortal Rising #1 by Aaron C. and Jose Garcia. Now, this issue has two stories that are happening concurrently. The first is The Calling, which is the bulk of this issue. Then Knights of Locutus, which deals more in the godly realms, but ties directly into The Calling. I put the link in the description so you can get a copy, which is available in both physical and digital. I understand that there are folks who very much appreciate maps with their stories, so you guys will be thrilled to know that when you first open this issue, you're greeted by a full 2-page splash of a map depicting the continent of Vandal on the planet Terra. But that's not where we start off, no. This story opens on the plain of Alfheim, in the Kingdom of Highwind, which falls within the domain of the demiurge Locutus. No. Not you. Locutus is a creator being. We don't find out yet if he's the ultimate creator of this universe or not, but since Alfheim is stated here to be within his domain, it kinda gets me thinking that there may be others. Here, in the courtyard of this crystalline-looking palace, we start off with a group that just completed their training. The Summerland Ball is taking place later that night, where they are to be recognized as Rangers. But right now, the top 4 graduates' names are being called for a special assignment: to hunt the festival boar, which is a great honor. But on this particular occasion, there's a twist. They will be joined by the 2 princes, who are known to be a bit on the spoiled side. The commanding officer calls out the names Eric Silverbow, Aerolith Rivers, Lorelei Thrace, and Drake Hardy. Having been selected, they're reminded that they need to be at their best because they are not just on a hunt, but are also protecting the future of the Highwind name. With that, he offers his congratulations, then dismisses them. Now, Drake is a brash and confident guy. He also scored the highest and displayed the most skill out of all the initiates. But though he's got a cocky streak, he still understands his own limits and knows that he wouldn't have done as well as he had if it weren't for his partner, Lorelei. He's looking at her here with appreciation and something a bit more. These two are on the same wavelength, and Drake wants to take their relationship to the next level. Hold on a sec. Round ears? Huh. Maybe she's human or half-elf. Inside the palace, we find the pompous Prince Dareth Highwind, admiring himself.
Whatever, I do what I want.
He's preparing for the hunt and wants to look impressive to his subjects. He asks how he looks as his twin brother, Prince Hero Highwind, enters the room. And Hero is definitely the opposite of his firstborn brother. He wears regular clothes with a cloak, but keeps the hood pulled up with some kind of balaclava-looking mask on his face. Hero's like, "Why are you wearing armor to the party tonight?" Dareth tells him that he needs to look good in front of the troops, and Hero mutters that he doubts they need fashionable armor. Dareth scoffs, wondering what his brother would know about fashion anyway, and Hero's like, "Can we go before you change again?" You know, Hero, I'm starting to kind of like you. You just went up a notch or two in my opinion scale. Outside, the 4 rangers are headed to the woods for their ceremonial hunt, and they're after a critter called a dire boar.
Oh boy, no. It's bacon!
Lorelei is beaming, excited to have been chosen for the hunt, and Drake can't wait to carry the festival boar into the banquet hall. Lorelei asks Drake about... Hey, there they are! Okay, so she is an elf. Lorelei asks him how he feels about the princess coming along on this trip, and he's not too thrilled about that part. Babysitting a couple of spoiled brats that wear perfume is definitely going to work against their efforts. Lorelei starts mocking him, saying, "I'm Drake. I'm the best who can shoot 10 birds on the wing in mid-jump. No one can out-ranger me." Wait, what? Her ears are round again.
I don't see no points on your ears, boy. But you sound like a Vulcan.
Drake corrects her here because, first of all, he says he doesn't sound like that. And second, he says, "It was 4 birds and I set the record for the initiates." They start reminiscing about the time they had spent together during their training. Drake may be a braggart, but he can usually back up what he says, and even he understands that he still has much to learn and a few dips in his skill set, like his traps, which are said to be on the sloppy side. The two of them had butt heads and disagreed, but throughout the course of their training, they learned how to put aside their differences and work as a team. They complemented each other's abilities well, and Drake even admits that he wouldn't have made it without her. Now, the two are very much in sync. Oh hey, the points! They're back! And let me take a minute here to point out her hair. She's got the lower and shortest layer against the back of her neck, with the longer mid layer fashioned into some kind of braid that secures the lower layer against the back of her neck, while the longest upper layer is in a ponytail. That's a cool look, but holy crap, that's gotta be time consuming. So these guys walked all the way out here just to find a fleet of ships from the palace hovering overhead. Finally, one of them descends and the two royal brats step out. Now Drake and Lorelei just want to get the hunt over with so they can get back to talking. We pick up with the party a short time later on their way out to the hunting grounds, and it turns out that when you put a braggart and a narcissist together, they can actually get along fairly well through the time-tested technique of busting each other's nuts. Dareth can actually give as good as he gets. Okay, dude, you just went up a couple points on my opinion scale. Dareth says that he didn't know it was going to take this long. What happened to being the best? And he needs to get ready for the ball. Drake's like, you're excited for the ball? What, you got a pretty little dress picked out or something? And Dareth's like, yep, the ball. Because the Duchess of Ariel is going to be there with her daughters. And they are hot. Hero mentions that he's never hunted before and asks about eating the heart of their kill. Drake's like, no way. A dire boar is huge and the heart is bigger than their heads. Now if that includes the head of Dareth, then we must be talking about a massive beast. Lorelei informs the princes that they've passed a certain point and now they need to stay alert for predators. This is where we shift to somewhere deep within the astral plane. I thought Trippy Soul would have been here to give us a tour, but I guess he had to work today. Stay safe out there, Trip. The power grid needs you. That dude is all about energy. Here, we find that a godlike being named Bamain is on a hunt of his own. He's talking to Locutus, who isn't manifest here, but I'm assuming that he could hear what Bamain is saying. He says, you run, and I find you. Again and again we've done this. How long must it go on? We learn here that Bamain has dealt quite a blow by shattering the emerald heart of Locutus, but he also lost his own gem, a ruby, in the process. So Locutus seems to be in a very weakened state, while the Locurite Order, along with the Knights of Locutus, have been frantically searching, trying to find the pieces. Bamain states that he has slaughtered every piece of Locutus that he could find, yet the last piece of the emerald is still lost to them both. But Bamain vows to have revenge on him and to raise a new order on Locutus's bones. And this is where he refers to Locutus as his creator. So, perhaps he's a bit of a Lucifer-esque character, not sure. All I know is that this dude is giving me rage-inducing flashbacks to my NES days. Dang it, Jakku! Suddenly, Bamain has a vision, and it's his ruby. It wasn't destroyed, and he's having this vision because someone just used it. Although he can sense its use, for reasons unknown, he's unable to see who it is, but he now knows where. We switch to another place, though we're not told where it is, but here we're introduced to a cleric of Bamain, Empress Telix Mon. This woman has been trained in the sacred rite known as the Pillars of Destruction. She climbed the ranks in the military and religious institutions to become both the sect's holy matron and empress. Now, wiping out her competition may have played a role, but regardless, Bamain was pleased with her. So in both military and magic, this chick knows her stuff. She also has pointed ears, so perhaps she's related to the elves, but we don't get that information in this issue. Keep in mind that even though her magic is powerful, it isn't really hers. It's Bamain's, which is who suddenly gives her a telepathic call. He tells her that his ruby's been used on the planet Terra, and he wants her to gather her forces and invade. His ruby must be found, and they need to act before the Locurites. Now, I'm not sure if that means they need the ruby before the Locurites get the emerald, or if the Locurites may also be searching for his ruby, but either way, they're feeling the press of the clock. Telix says that finding the ruby would win them the war, and is willing to lead the invasion herself. She gets a nosebleed from the communication, but has a smile on her face. She contacts her fleet commanders like,
Good news, everyone!
and says, get the troops, we're invading Terra! And speaking of Terra, here it is. Not sure if this is supposed to be a version of Earth or a completely different world, but it is inhabited by humans. as well as zombies. And lizard people. And werewolves. But we can see that they look to be around medieval tech levels and have no idea or way of knowing that an alien invasion is on the way. This work in progress is the Cathedral of Androlicus. Or is it Androlicus? No. Androlicus sounds more like the name of a real estate agent rather than a religious leader. It's got to be Androlicus. Inside, some kind of ceremony is taking place with a man named Muhammad, who has completed training of his own. The planet was under the rule of Dracula until 5 years ago, when he was defeated by Androlicus. But even with Dracula gone, there are many undead that are still ruling over the planet. Muhammad is trained to become a warrior for the church, wielding the weapons of their savior, which are the sword and hammer. The man standing before him recites a list of his accomplishments, then says Androlicus now recognizes Muhammad as a brother of the dawn. When he stands up, the priest gives him white robes of their church that they call the Death Shroud. Now, his job is to go out into the world, not only to heal people in the name of Androlicus, but to destroy the undead as well. But above the atmosphere, a fleet of ships is gathering in Terra's orbit. These are some neat-looking ships, too. I wonder how many they have. I count 9 in this scene. And are those dragons? They got freaking dragons! Telix informs her fleet that Terra was a slave planet under Dracula's rule until Androlicus defeated him. Now, Androlicus is the only active god on that world. She lets them know that most magic is wielded by the undead elites, and they don't have much in the way of tech. So the plan is to put their skirmish forces in place while others infiltrate the different societies. She wants a total assessment of the world, its resources, and orders the Dragon Guard to do a full sweep. The Empress also says that the undead lords could come to them for terms of assimilation. Back on Alfheim, Prince Hero finds himself in need of a bathroom. Not being the outdoorsy type, he wasn't sure where he should do his business. After pointing him out a good spot, they learned that he didn't bring a toiletries bag. He's like, "Hey, I didn't know, so I didn't bring one." Dareth starts laughing and says he doesn't know what to do because he doesn't have a servant to wipe for him. The others all start laughing and joking around that not all elves know how to poop in the woods. Hero then reminds them of who they're speaking to. Hero is their prince, but he is not his brother and does not appreciate the same kind of banter. Lorelei, who's the only one not laughing at him, offers to go with and keep watch. That's when Dareth shouts, "There's your wiper!" She walks with him to a spot where he can have some privacy and then starts to survey the area. But while she's looking in one direction, Prince Hero notices a dire boar in the other, staring right at Lorelei. It really is bigger than Dareth said. With tusks that can easily one-shot you. Hero realizes that it's caught her scent, but he's still feeling butthurt about everybody laughing, so he decides, screw it. I'm just going to let it happen. Lorelei heard the sudden sound of a boar charging, and Hero watched with eager eyes as she turned around too late. This critter rolls her like nothing, and the other rangers come running. Elric and Aerolith spring into action. One started unloading his arrows on the beast's flank, while the other went in with a spear. Drake shouted, "No! That'll just piss him off!" just as the boar sends them both flying. Dareth says to Drake, "I don't think they heard you." Drake snaps back with, "Just stay out of the way," but Dareth says he can do more than that and conjures some energy in his hands.
Just elfin magic.
Hero decides that it would be a better look to be seen helping, so he jumps up alongside his brother while conjuring energy in his hands as well. Together, they discharge their blast at the boar and, hey, a triple shot. Where'd he get the spazer beam from? Okay, yeah, he coalesced 3 orbs in his hand. I guess he merged his magic with some Chozo tech. So they blast this swine, but he shakes it right off and turns back towards the broken body of Lorelei. Its eyes zero in on her while Drake zeroes in on its eye. Releasing the bowstring, Drake puts an arrow right through the boar's eye socket and into the brain, dropping the beast. Above Terra, Space Invaders lady is receiving updates while demonstrating that this kind of dress can go well with a pirate's hat. But deep within the planet lays the last piece of the heart of Locutus. I said no. It projects energy outward, calling to the souls that Locutus created to come and protect the emerald. And when it does, Drake and the others are engulfed in a green flash of light. They immediately notice that the forest is very different, but Drake goes right back to tending Lorelai's wounds. He calls out for Elric and Aerolith, but they weren't transported with the others. It's just Drake, Lorelai, and the spoiled brats. So Drake asks the princes to help with bandaging and to make a stretcher, but douchebag is just like, we don't know how to do that. Drake's had it. He snaps at them, calling them useless, and tells them to just stay out of the way. Dareth puts his hand in front of douchebag like, just chill, man, and tells him to step back. I guess he's getting butthurt again. Drake works furiously and does all he can with what he's got. With Lorelai more or less stable, he turns his attention to where they are. Drake needs to get beyond the tree canopy and see the stars to assess their location. Dareth isn't happy about that because he doesn't want to be late for the ball. Dude, that's messed up. One of your people is critically injured and you're more worried about getting to your party on time? You just lost a few more points on my opinion scale. Anyway, Drake needs to go get their bearings and ask Dareth if he can at least make a fire, and he's like, yeah, I do know how to do that. While they're having that conversation, douchebag is just staring at Lorelai like, ooh, I didn't know there'd be so much blood. Drake starts off for clearer skies while the other two, or at least Dareth, makes a fire. Drake finds a place where he can climb up and get a good look at the sky, but everything looks out of place. Back at camp, remember all that talk of the undead? Well, here they come. Pigpen's like, those are zombies, let's get out of here. Dareth seems to have suddenly remembered that he's a prince and says, but the girl. Douchebag counters with, it's a soldier's honor to die. But Dareth says he won't leave her to such a fate and takes up his spear. Pigpen takes to the tree limbs and Derek's like, bro, where you going? Don't leave me to fight alone. Pigpen says that he can cast from above. Yeah, whatever. We don't see any casting out of him, but Dareth really steps up here. Okay, dude, you've earned some of those points back on my opinion scale. But not you, Discount Assassin's Creed. Not only have you slid all the way down my opinion scale, but you done dropped out the bottom. I've had it with you. Beat it. Dareth skewers ahead of the closest zombie. I mean, he really tore into him. But the next zombie tore into Lorelai's throat. The commotion drew the attention of a man who had been tracking these zombies, and Muhammad enters the fray. He slams the zombies with his warhammer, which discharges some magical energy and decimates the monsters as Drake returns to camp. They all remain silent as Drake approaches Lorelai's body. He kneels beside his fallen companion and holds her as Muhammad speaks, but the elvish men from another world cannot understand his language. For the first time, and far too late, Dipshit actually makes himself useful and casts an enchantment that allows all present to understand each other's languages. The newcomer identifies himself as Muhammad ibn Fadlan of Juarez, from the Church of Andronicus, and he offers his condolences. He is a healer, but he's too late to save Lorelai. He says that he's out here to deliver retribution to the undead, and then asks about the pointed ears and odd clothing. Drake says, we're elves, and Muhammad's like, I thought elves were small imaginary people with bug wings. This is where it really begins to sink in for Drake that they are no longer on Alfheim. Muhammad is not familiar with Alfheim, but after proper introductions are made, he begins to tell them that they are in the lands of Duke Vordar and West Vandal. He fills them in on the recent history of Terra, about how their world was ruled mostly by the undead and werewolves, until Andronicus beat Dracula and broke the curse of eternal night. With the curse broken, the sun came back, an event he refers to as daybreak. That was 5 years ago, and now he's on a quest to free humanity from the rest of the ruling monsters. Muhammad offers to take them to the nearest village, but before they can do that, Drake needs to lay his partner and best friend to rest. Meanwhile, in the Hell Realm, two elven gods, who are brothers, are preparing to handle some business. This is the second story in this issue called Knights of Locutus Part 1, and it follows Listo and Erickson, who are going after someone named Baron Sabisht. He assisted Bamain against the godly brothers at the Battle of Heartbreak, and now they're pissed. Erickson, a god of magic, casts an enchantment to keep their presence hidden, because they don't want other gods knowing where they are right now. Looking down upon the Baron's complex, he casts a barrier, preventing anyone from entering or leaving. Now, it's Listo's turn. He charges inside and just starts mowing monsters down with his Japanimation swords. After clearing the area of fodder, he starts screaming his head off. He's calling out Baron Sabisht. He shouts, I summon you! Appear before me now! And this gargantuan guy with 4 fists shows up. Listo doesn't even hesitate. He just leaps at this oversized chump, sword first. Sabisht says, you may have beaten me, but you will never beat Bamain. Listo responds, by beheading him. And with Baron Sabish gone, everything that he created vanished as well. The compound, the monsters, everything.
Everything! Everything!
As they're wrapping this up, Erickson gets a communication from the high command of the Lacurites. They tell him that Empress Talix is invading Terra and that there's been a shift in reality that resulted in some people and creatures being teleported to the planet. And the reality shift had Locutus's power signature.
I am Locutus of Borg.
Fine. Whatever. Does anybody else miss Real Trek? After hearing that, Erickson said to get the bigwigs of the Order and the Knights together in Kalanis, because this might be the last piece of Locutus's heart, and it's on a world that's being invaded by Bomanites. That brings us to the end of Immortal Rising issue number 1. So, this started off looking lighthearted and plucky, but turned real serious real quick. Who's using Balmain's ruby and why can't he see it? And why does he want revenge on Locutus? What will happen when Drake and the others inevitably run into the Bomanites? And frankly, that's all small potatoes in my opinion, because I won't be happy until I see Pigpen get his ass handed to him by Drake. He may not have killed Lorelei, but I blame him for the death of our favorite intermittently eared elvish woman. And yeah, I know that Space Invaders lady is the more urgent threat, but if she's gonna invade Terra, at least she's doing it in that dress. So what are your thoughts on Immortal Rising number 1? Since killing Baron Sabish made all the things he created disappear, do you think that means if Balmain is successful, all the souls that Locutus created will blink out of existence? But if that's the case, and Locutus created Balmain, does that mean Balmain found a way around that? How would one use the ruby or emerald, I wonder? At least the ruby looks like it would make a great spear tip or arrowhead, but I'm probably way off the mark with that application. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comment section. And don't forget to click that link and grab a copy of Immortal Rising for your own collection. If you enjoyed this presentation, hit the like, and if you didn't, I appreciate you stopping by. See you next time, and God bless.